Hi everyone, it's Tracy from Temperance Tarot, and there has been some interest expressed on the Facebook group about adding contact paper to the backs of your decks and how that might look and how that might work, because I did post a picture of, here's my Tarot of Transformation, I've gotten it all done now, where I took some contact paper and put it on the backs of these cards in the hope that it would help to reinforce the cards and make them a little bit less easily damaged. I don't want to damage them because I really love this deck. So I don't want to damage the cards. And it did take them up about 1/4 of an inch in height, the entire deck overall, because I used to be able to get it in this box and the lid would fit on, and now I've got about 1/4 of an inch taller. So it has reinforced the cards. One thing I would say, if you're thinking about doing this because you either hate the backs or maybe because you trimmed the cards and the backs don't line up anymore, or because like these cards and the cards I'm going to do today, the cards are just thin and you want to give them some reinforcement, you have to consider the back that's on the card already. These had a deep purple back, and if you look really, really closely, which you probably can't see on this video, you can kind of see the back of the card through this white part of the contact paper, which is why I am redoing. I originally had, for this deck, this is a black and white deck, and originally for this deck, I had picked this contact paper to go on the back, and I'm sure you probably can't see it on the video, but the backs of the cards look like this, and you can see clearly through, or I can see at least clearly through the white parts of the contact paper, that outline of that darker image. So that just wasn't going to do it for me. So I'm going to redo it in a solid black contact paper that actually has a sort of a wood grain to it. And that should cover up everything. Another word about contact paper, the typical shelf liner contact paper or contact brand contact paper is fairly thin, and it's not going to add a whole lot of substance to your cards, and the white will show through. But if you go with something that has a texture to it, this is going to be a little bit thicker and give you a little more substance. They also make some that have a faux leather feel that are going to give you even more substance, but those tend to be a little more expensive. And they do make these things, I think they call it wallpaper, but it's not wallpaper in the traditional sense of you have to, glue it on. It's a self-adhesive wallpaper, and that stuff's going to be considerably thicker, but it's also going to be considerably more expensive. So it just depends on how much money you want to spend on it. And that stuff won't have the added advantage of being able to pull it off later. I put this particular piece of contact paper on this card probably 2 weeks ago. And you can see if I can get the corner up, I can peel it up. I have to be careful because I don't want to bend the card, but it will completely come off of this card. So you don't really have to worry about damaging your cards with contact paper. But with a wallpaper type substance, you might have to worry about not being able to get that off the back. Okay. So for contact paper, you will notice when you unroll a roll of contact paper, you're always going to have, no matter who makes it, you're going to have these lovely little lines that you can cut. And I usually set something heavy on the end and then measure the height of the card. I don't know if you can see that. Let's do it here. And measure the height of the card and figure out, okay, I want to cut to this line right here. And then I'm going to take the scissors and cut there. And with most contact paper, it works just like wrapping paper. You don't actually have to cut. You can just slide it up along. Then I will take the card again and I will measure the width. And with a standard tarot deck, I can usually get 5 cards out of a out of a row. I can usually get about 5 cards out of a row. With these wide cards, I am probably not going to be able to get more than 4. And I'm not going to try to make it too skinny and too close, because then you have nothing to grab a hold of. So I can do it this way, or I could use this as the template, but this tends to be a little more stable. I tend to only do one strip at a time because I never finish in one sitting, and I don't want these little things sitting around. So I'll do about one strip at a time. Ooh, I'm only going to be able to get 3 out of this one. Let's look at that. This is really wide, which is something else to consider. A standard roll of contact paper is, I believe, like 9 feet long by about 12 to 16, 18 inches wide. I can't remember right off the top of my head. And generally, you can do a deck of cards with one roll of contact paper. I might be in trouble with this one because I might need another roll, because this is a standard size roll of contact paper. You can tell how thick it is here, how much there is. With the contact paper I got for the Tarot of Transformation, I got a double size roll. I was able to choose a double size roll, so I've got lots of that left over. All right, then the next step is to take the card, clean your surfaces, get all the little bits of flotsam and dust off the surface. I put it face up like this. Then you peel. Easier said than done. It's really not this hard. You peel the back off. And then let's see if I can do this. Usually what I do is I turn it sticky side up, and then I'll put the card on like this and just kind of flatten it out. And then I'll turn it over and work out any bubbles that might have gotten there. And you can see I've kind of stuck it down to the table. I can pick it right up. Something else to consider when you're purchasing contact paper to use for the back of a card, I don't recommend that you use anything with a stripe either way, vertical or horizontal, because if you get your card on the contact paper a little bit wonky and you're a perfectionist like me, it's going to drive you nuts that the stripes are either a little skewed. So I do recommend, and there's very little contact paper out there that is actually striped, but I do recommend something with a swirly pattern or a solid color. Okay, then you just take your scissors and you go around the card and you hold the scissors still, or you hold the card still and just move the scissors. You don't actually have to cut. Now, I don't do the corners very well because you know, they're round. It's hard to get around a corner. So I actually use my corner rounder to neaten up the corners. Okay, so that's all the excess has gone off. I've got this nice black back. Nothing showing through. It's got a little bit of a wood grain to it. That's okay. I really would have liked to have gotten the leather, but the leather is like $25 for a roll. I just can't do that. So then I'll take my corner rounder, and this is my corner rounder. I absolutely love this corner rounder. It has small, medium, and large corners that you can do with it. And the bottom comes off so you can get all the stuff out of there. Yes, it's a little sticky, but I haven't had any trouble with it clogging up my corner rounder. And I will take the corner rounder and just neaten up those corners. Yeah, some of them don't really need neatening. Got a couple of bubbles in there I need to work out a little better. Work on that. And there you go. I have now given this card a new back that gives it a little bit more substance. Not a whole lot. I don't know if that's going to be worth it. I don't know if I'm going to spend all the time on this deck. If I like this deck enough to spend the time to put that contact paper on the back, even though I did buy the whole roll, so we'll see. But that is how I reback my decks with contact paper. And I must tell you that this is not an original idea of mine. I got the idea from Veronica Jude, who has a marvelous channel over on YouTube, and I will link below to her channel. She's done this several times. She trims all of her cards. Almost every single deck she gets, she trims. And she rebacks a lot of them. So if you want to see somebody doing that trimming and rebacking other than me, you can go have a look at Veronica Jude's channel. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great, great day.